one of the problems is that they'll be grinding, they'll be working hard, but financially they'll feel stuck. And one of the issues is the reason why they're stuck is it's not because they're not making good money in a lot of cases. The reason why they're stuck is because they're doing what they've always done. And their old systems, they just don't work. They don't work. They're everything that they bring in, they're spending. They're not investing it in other things. They're not, even if they're a business owner, they're not investing in stocks, in real estate, in passive income. So if they're not investing in passive income, they're not producing money when they're not working. So then how do they produce money? They have to work. So then that's why they feel stuck. So in order to do that, in order to break out of the trap, they need a better system. And the problem is they just don't know where to start. They don't know that just with a little bit of information and a little bit of a mindset shift, it's going to change everything for them, because all they know is what they know, and what they know got them stuck. Yeah, so the thing about when you're building something, it's like anything else. When you start building something, there's this initial drop. So I remember very specifically, it was early on in Proof, right after we had started the company. We were adding all these customers. It felt like we were growing, but I would check the bank account, and the bank account was headed in the wrong direction. And it actually scared me, because it's like, hey, we're doing all this work, but I wasn't seeing the fruits. I wasn't seeing the results yet. And then I started to realize it's like anything else. Like if you want to remodel your house, in the beginning, it's going to look uglier than it was before. You have to tear some walls down. You have to rip some carpet out. And so when you're building something, part of it is having that faith that, man, this is going to work. And you have to get through that phase of that initial drop off and seeing that stuff is going in the opposite direction of what you had anticipated. I think the biggest trap that PCOs fall into that people don't really talk about is that they start making some money and they think that they can immediately go live a much higher lifestyle. They're like, hey, I'm building this business and I'm going to go buy a new truck. I'm going to move into a bigger house. I'm going to spend more money, when they need to keep that money in their business so that they can grow it. I've seen it time and time again where they outspend what they're bringing in. And this is a big problem, because the number one reason why businesses fail is because they run out of cash. They run out of money. And so PCOs need to know, like, hey, cash flow is super important. And I need to inject that cash back into my company so that it can grow. And the other thing is, pest control companies are naturally worth a lot of money, but that money is an asset that's not necessarily in cash. And so we get confused about that because we have all this recurring revenue, but we have to wait and give the company time for it to produce cash from that asset. Yeah, the trap is the PCOs, they see this money coming in, and in a lot of cases, they're using the same bank account to run their household as they are to run their business. And so they see this money coming in, and first off, they really need separate accounts. You can't commingle funds. There's all sorts of tax and legal issues with that. But even if they have separate accounts, they see the money coming in, and it's especially true of people that are doing the business on their own. They're like, oh, that's my money. No, it's not. That's the business's money. And a lot of beginning entrepreneurs, especially PCOs, they can't distinguish between that. It goes through the business, and you have to use those funds for business purposes. So what I recommend is you have a fixed salary regardless of how much you make. And it should be really, really low in the first couple of years.
Did you ever want to fall into that? Get tempted to like pull and buy stuff?
Yeah, so the thing is that there's some things about me that are naturally like stumbling blocks, like hurdles for me. But then there are some things about me that I naturally do really well. I didn't even think about the fact that I was doing something well. It's just my personality. And it's probably because of how I grew up, right? Slept on the ground the first 6 years of my life. When I make money, I don't want to say I hoard it, but I do a little bit. I've always spent less than I made. And so when I started a business and I saw this money coming in, I wasn't really tempted to take a bunch out of it. And this isn't like a flex. It's just, it was my personality more than anything. I didn't even know, but I am definitely in the minority with this. Most business owners, they've been working for somebody else. They've been limited on what they could make. They see a few bucks and they immediately want to go spend it. And that never really resonated with me. I think like I think it's much cooler to have money than to spend money.
If you could,
If somebody feels embarrassed because traditionally they've taken every dollar out of their company or they've used the same bank account to run their household as they do their business, honestly, it's like anything else. I have my flaws. And one hack that I've learned is that step one is show yourself some grace. We say terrible things about ourselves that we'd never say out loud, and we say it in the form of thoughts. And so don't be embarrassed about it. It's just like anything else. It's you've recognized it. That's a good sign of being embarrassed. It's like, hey, I'm doing this the wrong way. Recognize it, be cool to yourself, and change.